Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. My name's Eric Pate, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Racing of Eric Pate, your weekly racing refuel pit stops for fans. We're gonna talk about Martinsville, some of the big stories that came out from Martinsville. Yeah, but a little bit, not as lengthy as I thought it was gonna be. I thought we were gonna have more. But penalties that came out from it, especially Xfinity race, why it was so controversial. Keep that in the back of your mind that this video is mainly going to be about the Xfinity race at Martinsville. When we get into the other topics, as usual, we'll do the results, the point standings. They did update ever since the Xfinity race. Sammy Smith was 6th in points. And we'll talk about why he's now 12th in points. Now, it might say 13th, but the thing is Eric Pate, who is not a full-time Xfinity driver, for some reason he is up there in the points. So I decided not to include him in the standings. I decided to only do drivers who can actually go for the Xfinity Series trophy this year, the big one at the end of the season. Sorry, I burped. Point standings, the results of my picks from the weekend. Like I said, any controversy that came out, move of the week or wreck of the week. Move of the week and wreck of the week were basically in the same video. Happened at the same time. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna watch them together. We're gonna watch the ending of the Xfinity race after I discuss on what took place. You guys know, if you want to know what I'm holding in my hand is actually everything that's in my hand right now is going to be written on this whiteboard. So this is like, sometimes I might look down on it and whatnot, so I don't have to do that. Like I said, everything word for word that is on here is going to be written on here. Since we do have a big whiteboard, we can probably try to fit all 3 series on there. We're going to try our best. If not, we're going to enjoy a couple hyperlaps during this video. Dash for Cash format. I made a mistake actually regarding Dash for Cash. I assumed that this weekend's Darlington race, Xfinity Darlington race, was a Dash for Cash race. Well, I assumed wrong. The third one is actually going to be Bristol, which is next weekend, but Xfinity is still going to run. The 4 drivers who got in, who won it, and then the 4 drivers who will be in for Bristol. Next week, even though it's not going to change, I am going to do a reminder of like the format for Dash for Cash and the 4 drivers participating. The Triple Truck Challenge. We'll talk about that today. A statement from Brad Keselowski. We're either going to do that actually before or after we discuss the penalties. And I'm going to actually tell you guys my reactions. I did not write down my reactions on this, of what the statement I think from Brad Keselowski. Did not write down my reaction. I would actually explain to you guys my reaction. Actually, maybe statement from Brad Keselowski and penalties will be on the same whiteboard, and I'll see if I can do that. I bet I can. Like I said, if we had a little bit more of a lengthy report, I might not be able to do that. Anyway, how to race Darlington. This is going to be a little tricky to explain. And a reminder on how I make my picks. And then my picks for Darlington. Let's go ahead and get into the results. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the results from the 3 races this weekend. I managed to get them all on here. I may have to do a couple condensing, meaning on the stage results, I may have just done the drivers, except for the truck side of things, because the reason why for the trucks is the top 3 were the same in both stages, and we were able to get both their names written. So I should probably go ahead and do something real quick. The Xfinity fastest lap of the race, is like as normal, gets a star next to the results, and we're going to put 2 right next to Hamlin as well, because Hamlin also led the most laps. I am not going to do a star for the driver that lead the most laps, only if the driver who led the most laps also ends up winning the race. So we're going to start out with the Coca 400 results. So, as I said, Denny Hamlin gets 2 stars. Why? 1 for getting the fastest lap, and 1 for getting, fastest lap, no matter what. If they're in the top 10, they get a star. Only most laps led and win they would get a second star. So, in order for them to get a second star, like I said, they have to have the fastest lap, the most laps led, and win. In order for them to have 2. Now, if they want and only have 1 star, that is because they more than likely led the most laps. Anyway, Denny Hamlin had the fastest lap. Let's go ahead and talk about that. That fastest lap was recorded at a speed of 20.188 seconds, and Denny Hamlin led the most laps, 274 out of 400 in Martinsville. Christopher Bell finished second. Third was Bubba Wallace. Fourth was Chase Elliott. Fifth was Kyle Larson. Sixth was Ross Chastain. Seventh was Ryan Preece. Eighth was Joey Logano. Ninth was Chase Briscoe. 10th was Todd Gilliland. Our stage results were: stage 1 was won by Joey Logano. Stage 2, second place was Alex Bowman. Third place was AJ Allmendinger. I made a mistake. Let me go ahead and fix that. I think what I messed up on it was because Bubba Wallace also finished third in stage 2. Denny Hamlin won the stage with Chase Elliott second, and Bubba Wallace was third. That didn't mean to say Bubba Wallace. That was supposed to be AJ Allmendinger. Good thing I had a cheat sheet right here in my hand. On the Xfinity side of things, for the Marine Corps 250, this video is, we're almost to the point of this video we're going to mainly be talking about the Marine Corps 250, because there's a lot of things that this race had that we need to have a discussion about, especially the finish. Austin Hill won the race, leading only 1 lap. He also won the Dash for Cash, which we will get more into in just a little bit. Sheldon Creed was second. Third was Justin Allgaier. Fourth was Brendan Poole. Those 4 guys, we will say, for a reminder, I believe will be the Dash for Cash drivers in Bristol. I'm not sure if they take... Normally they run the 4 races consecutive, but I don't know what happens if they take a break. I wonder if it's still going to be the same 4 when we go to Bristol next week. Sam Mayer, 5th, 6th, Dean Thompson, 7th, Daniel Dye, 8th, Ryan Sieg, 9th, Chris Wright, and 10th is Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith also had the fastest lap of the race. We will be talking more about Sammy Smith, not in a good way, here in just a few minutes. His time was 20.487. Stage 1 and Stage 2, top 2 were the same, with Garner Zillich winning both stages. Garth Squapple was second in both stages. So, like I said, first and second in both stages. But we did have different third place guys. That's why I wrote their names again. Brandon Jones was third in Stage 1, and Williams Watch is third in Stage 2. Now, even though the top 10 gets points, only top 10 gets points in the stages, I just decided just to do the stage result, top 3 in each stage, for the podcast. The Boys and Girls Club of Blue Ridge 200. The only now I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Only controversial thing that was about the Cookout 400 was the fact that Denny Hamlin flew after the race that says 11 against the world. To me, that's just as bad as him. People are saying that he should get penalized for that. To me, that is just as bad as saying I beat your favorite driver, which is a phrase he used after he won Bristol in 2023. I think saying having that flag, like flying that flag, is just as bad as saying I beat your favorite driver. I didn't even think I beat your favorite driver was bad. As much as much as you guys know, I'm a Hamlin hater. But I thought both of those were funny. I'm not being sarcastic because today is April Fool's Day. I'm being serious. Anyway, Boys and Girls Club, Blue Ridge 200. Denham Hamrick won the race. People were saying that he sucked. I never had said somebody sucked after a race win. Okay? So if you say Denham Hamrick sucks after he won a race, what is wrong with you? I mean, this was only the second time at all in any of the three major histories of NASCAR that he's won a race. The first came when he won the championship in 2021, and people said that was a fluke championship. I don't care. It still counts as a championship. Tyler Ankrum was second in the race. Third, Jake Garcia. Fourth, Chandler Smith. Fifth, Ben Rhodes. Sixth, Corey Heim. We'll talk about him in just a second. Seventh, Andra Perez. Eighth, Rajah Karuv. Ninth, Stuart Friesen. 10th, Wallace Allen. Stage 1 and Stage 2 top 3, like I said, were the same of Corey Heim, Caden Huncutt, and Ty Majeski. The fastest lap of the race went to Ross Chastain, Ross the Boss, with a time of 20 seconds, 20.268 seconds. Let's talk about Corey Heim for just a second. Let's just take a second real quick and talk about Corey Heim. This is the second week in a row that he dominated the race and then didn't win because of some crazy part failure. I've actually felt bad for him in both of those. I mean, in Homestead. Now, at the same time, I'm glad we finally had another full-timer in trucks with victory. I'm glad about that. But, I mean, lately he's been dominating races and not winning. And on NASCAR Heat, that was the problem with me for the longest time, was when I dominated a race, I didn't win until eventually I did win. It took me a bit in NASCAR Heat when I dominated. It took me a bit to win. And like I said, I honestly feel bad for Corey Heim. I mean, he dominated. He basically was en route to win both of the races, and then he was having problems with the truck. So I'm not saying he's gonna dominate and win a race this year. I mean, he is going to, but he dominated the last 2 weeks and didn't win. So let's go ahead and get into the point standings. Alrighty, now time for the points. Now, I did trucks first because, okay, so when I had the 3 markers in my hand, I accidentally I had to grab the black one to do, because I'm going to try to always do cup first. But for some reason, I accidentally grabbed my red marker that was in my, I had my markers like this. But when I was looking at the board, I went like that, and I was like, dang it. So, just instead, so I didn't have to switch markers, I decided, you know what, let's start off with trucks. And since we're about to have a pretty lengthy conversation, well, I don't know about you guys, but we're about to have a pretty long discussion about the Xfinity series. So we're doing Xfinity last on the points wise, because like I said, we're about to have a pretty lengthy discussion with Xfinity. And I mean, it's pretty lengthy. Anyway, also, when we are on the points page, when we are talking about points, the stars that are above the names, 1 star equals 1 win, for the points part. Anyway, Corey Heim has 2 wins on the year with 229 points. He is the current points leader. Ty Majeski has 209 points. Chandler Smith has 193 points. Daniel Hamrick has 1 win on the year with 175 points. Stuart Friesen has 167 points. Tyler Ankrum has 164 points. Greg Anfinger has 157 points. Lane Riggs has 148 points. Jake Garcia has 137 points. Ben Rhodes has 131 points. Our other winners this year has been the Kyles, Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch in Atlanta, Kyle Larson in Homestead. Next week, I am going to add a section on the show. For once a month, there will be a section on the show called the Reminding of the Winners. what is that, you might ask? Is about once a month I am going to remind you guys on who have won this year and where they have won at. On the Cup side of things, we have William Byron at 293 points with 1 win. Wait, that doesn't seem right. 270. Yeah, I was looking at the Xfinity side. Whoops. Yeah. 270 points. With 1 win on the year, and that 1 win was Daytona. Kyle Larson has 1 win on the year at Homestead with 242 points. Chase Elliott, 226 points. Christopher Bell with his wins in Atlanta, Coda, in Phoenix, 224. Alex Bowman, 223 points. Denny Hamlin, 217 points. Tyler Reddick, 213 points. Bubba Wallace, 208 points. Ninth, Joey Logano, 194, I think. No, 9 points. Ryan Blaney, 193 points. Our only other winners here has been Josh Berry. On the truck side of things, now Xfinity. Justin Allgaier has 293 points with his wins in Vegas and Homestead. Sim Mayer has 252 points. Austin Hills with his 2 wins in Atlanta and of course at Martinsville. Sean Creed, 222 points. I really want to put a star on Creed's name. Sheldon, you better make me want to put a star by your name this week. Jesse Love with a win in Daytona with 219 points. Connor Zillage with a win at Coda, 193 points. Ryan Sieg, 185 points. Carson Wappel, 176 points. Jeb Burton, 169 points. And Daniel Dye, 168 points. That is what the point standings currently look like. Actually, I kind of just want to go ahead and get into the discussion. We'll talk about my picks results probably later on. Actually, I did have it up next actually anyway, so actually, yeah, let's go ahead and go into that, and then like I said, we're about to have a pretty lengthy discussion. I might not even write the controversy of the week because that's probably just going to kill my arm. I might just read what I wrote down for the controversy of the week. Actually, I might be able to combine the next 2 sections, controversies of the week and how my picks did. So, be right back. So, as I've said in the last part, I have decided to combine controversy of the week and my picks results. Now, this part you can barely see. Well, I can see just fine, but you guys can barely see. I'll read it out to you in just a second. Now, these were the yellows. Now, you're going to know something between stages 1 and 2 and the last stage. Where my hand is running through right now, that is just the last stage. This bottom part is the first 2. Okay? Anyway, so with my picks, so Denny Hamlin finished first. That was obvious. By the way, I do Cup Series only on my picks, so letting you guys know that right now, it is Cup Series only. I love you, Furball. What are you doing? Junior wants to say hi. Okay, so Chase Elliott was 4th, Kyle Larson was 5th, Ryan Preece was 7th, 11th was Ryan Blaney, Carson Hocevar 19th, William Byron 22nd, Alex Bowman was 27th, originally 28th. We'll get into that in just a moment, but you probably have an idea on why I said originally 28th. Somebody between Byron and Bowman failed in post-race inspection. I will let you know who it is in just a few moments. Junior's trying to slap me right now, so. Alright. Go to my bedroom. Sorry. And he scratched me. So, the controversy, well, both of the controversies happened in the same race, so I just combined them into one after I realized I could just go ahead and combine them. Which controversy do you want to talk about first? Taylor Gray was going for the win. We're gonna actually watch that here in just a few moments on what happened on the last 2 laps. He ended up dumping, Sammy Smith ended up dumping him, which we will see here in just a few moments. Massive wreck was caused. Austin Hill got through and won the race. After the race, things almost got physical. Now, if things did get physical, I would have a video. I would also find a video of what happened so we can watch it together. But things did not get physical. Another controversy about the same race. We're still on the Xfinity race. This is why I said we're having a lengthy discussion on the Xfinity race. Was after stage 2, it was just caution after caution after caution after caution after caution after caution after caution. Let's go down here for a second. So the first caution of the race flew on lap 55, lasted to lap 67, because somewhere in there was lap 60. Lap 60 was the conclusion of stage 1. Lap 82 to 88, we had a spin. 96 to 101, we had a spin. Now, if I didn't say 88 to 96 was green flag, and then 96 to 101 was yellow, and then 101 to 122 was green. If I didn't say like to whatever, and I just go to the next lap number, just assume that like 147 to 155 here, 147 and 155. I didn't say 2. Just assume that's green. That the next caution flew on the next number I said after 2. After assume, like if I said 140 here, I'm just gonna make my comment mainly after 122 to 132. That was for the end of stage 2. I don't know what all these cautions were for. Most of them were for spins. So yeah. 141 to 147, we were caution. 147 to 155, we were green. 155 to 160, caution. 160 to 177. That was probably our longest green flag of the run of the race, besides 55 to, besides 1 to 1 to 55. 160 to 177, we were green. 177 to 183, we were caution. 183 to 192, we were green. 192 to 197, caution. 197 to 201, green. 201 to 208, caution. I want you guys to count how many times I say the word caution, if you haven't already. 208 to 211, we were green. 211 to 215, caution. 215 to 218, green. 218 to 228, caution. 228 to 233, green. 233 to 238, caution. 243 to 248, no, 238 to 243, green. 243 to 248, caution. 248 to 250. We didn't have a chance to take the white flag, by the way. Green. This race is supposed to end on lap 250. Then 250 to 254, we were caution, and 254 to 256, we were green. We ended up ending on lap 256. I said let's go and take a look what took place at the end of the Xfinity race. Real quick, we do have some penalties from it. We'll actually get to that in just a moment. But let's take a look at what happened. Again, disclaimer, I'm no racing expert, but I'll give my own analysis. So I started at 2 laps to go. Overtime, started overtime. Sammy Smith has a good restart. Everybody. And then Taylor Gray, as cleanly as possible, is going to get side by side with Sammy Smith. And then he's going to, as cleanly as possible too, he's probably going to clear Sammy Smith. White flag waves. Final lap of the race has started. Next flag ends the race. Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray are racing. Taylor Gray is racing as cleanly as possible here. Little contact between Allgaier and Sammy Smith. But Sammy Smith just flat out dumped him. And I would also say dump his teammate a little. And then Austin Hill got through and won the race. And then just a parking lot happens out of the last corner. If you did not like the fact that Austin Hill won that race, he was in the right place at the right time when people started wrecking. I've seen races at Talladega and Daytona finish like this. To where I think there was an Xfinity race once where a guy was 11th in turn 4. Big wreck broke out in front of him, and he ended up winning. So, if you're mad about Austin Hill winning that race, don't be. He was in the right place at the right time. Let's get into the Dash for Cash and Triple Truck Challenge. I'm going to try to combine them both in the next part. So right now there are 2 challenges currently going on in the Trucks and Xfinity series. What is it? So Cup is going to have their own later on in the season. So basically, what I call the best way I'm going to put it is like they're doing their All-Star portion at the same time they're getting points for it. So we have, like I mentioned, we have the Dash for Cash going on in the Xfinity series. We're taking a week off from it. I did look it up while I was writing it on the board here that the top 4 from the Xfinity race, because Austin Hill, who was a Dash for Cash driver, did win it, and then they take the top. And then since the next 3 were Xfinity Series regulars, got a race for Dash for Cash. We'll get the race for Dash for Cash in Bristol, even though we're taking a break from it in Darlington. Even though the Xfinity Series is still going to run in Darlington, real quick, I want to say something about the points. Next week, we will only have the updated Xfinity and Cup Series points, since Cup and Xfinity are only running this weekend. And that's why we won't have a truck race results as well. The format is the highest finisher wins $100,000. The Dash for Cash winner and the top 3 full-timers. I put the next top 3 full-timers, but it's the top 3 full-timers is eligible for the next Dash for Cash. The 4 races is Miami, Martinsville, Bristol, Rockingham. I made a mistake. Last week I said Darlington and Bristol, but I did not. Typically they run all 4 races consecutive. Typically. They run all 4 races consecutively. But they're not this year for some unknown reason. But 4 drivers of Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, Justin Allgaier, and Brendan Poole would still be for the 4 Dash for Cash drivers. Would still be the Dash for Cash drivers when we get to Bristol next weekend. So the Triple Truck Challenge, that's what we have currently going on. There's no format of being eligible. The only thing you have to do to be eligible is race for points in the Truck Series, and the highest regular Truck Series driver wins $50K. If you happen to win 2 of the Triple Truck Challenges, you get $150,000. And then if Daniel Hamrick somehow wins all 3 of them, he gets $500,000. So far, Daniel Hamrick's our first winner of the Triple Truck Challenge with his win in Martinsville. And then Miami and Martinsville. Miami was won by Justin Allgaier, both the race and $100,000. And Austin Hill, both the race and $100,000. There was one year, actually, all 4 Dash for Cash races. All 4 people who won the Dash for Cash races had to win the race. Well, not had to win the race, but they won the race to win the Dash for Cash. Alright, next up we have penalties and a statement from Brad Keselowski regarding penalties. So I'll be right back. So first off, let's start off with a statement from Brad Keselowski. Now, Brad Keselowski, to me, I'm feeling, knows what he's talking about due to he is a NASCAR Cup Series owner. He owns the team he drives for, actually. Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. He drives the number 6 car. He has, as a driver owner, he only has 1 win versus Chris Buescher has 5 under the RFK brand. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is what Brad Keselowski said, and honestly, I agree, because if NASCAR makes it up to team owners on like penalties and whatnot, if Sammy Smith was my driver, Sammy Smith wouldn't just be paying a fine. Sammy Smith will be at least be sitting out. I've seen drivers do moves not even as bad as what we just saw and got suspended for a race. I've seen drivers, like literally the move we just watched, like just a 2-car wreck, and they got suspended for a race. Okay, the statement was the solution needs to come from the car owners and not NASCAR. Until the car owners are willing to park their drivers for getting this out of control, very little will change. That was said by Brad Keselowski, who, like I said, is a team owner in the NASCAR Cup Series. I mean, he owns car number 6, 17, and 60. He drives the 6, Ryan Preece drives the 60, and Chris Buescher drives the 17. I think he knows what he's talking about here. I mean, I 100% agree with Brad Keselowski here. I mean, team owners need to get their heads out of their asses and do something about their drivers driving like complete idiots. Last year, a pretty dumb move was made for the win in Richmond. NASCAR penalized the driver, but the team owner said that the penalty was stupid. No, he should have gotten the penalty for what he did, because the move he made in Richmond wasn't... The move that was made in Richmond was just as bad as what we just saw. Actually, what we just saw was worse than what happened in Richmond. But, moving in Richmond, he tried to appeal it, and he didn't win a single one. He tried to appeal twice. Didn't win a single appeal. And then he tried to sue, I think he tried to sue NASCAR, and I think it backfired. The penalty did. Junior Motorsports have already released a statement actually regarding Sammy Smith, that they're not going to appeal his penalty. What is his penalty? We'll get to that in just a second. Let's go ahead and go through the penalties actually for this week. Roger Crew had a 2.5K fine for just a lug nut. Sheldon Creed, 5K fine for just a lug nut. Sammy Smith, actually we'll cycle back to that penalty. Judd Burton and Taylor Gray both got a $500,000 fine each for confronting drivers outside the infield care center. One of the confrontations, I haven't seen the Judd Burton confrontation, but I've definitely seen the Taylor Gray one with Sammy Smith. That's the one that almost got physical. Champagne Gisberg, I saw this one coming. Jackman, Aslan Pugh, and rear tire changer John Patrick Cayley are both suspended for 2 weeks because the tire felt they did not make sure a tire was secured on his car, and which caused a tire to fall off. Earlier I told you to keep back to the back of your mind Alex Bowman originally finishing 28th, but I said he now finished 27th. But that was because Eric Jones' car fell post-race tech after it was found it was a little bit underweight. Sorry, my cat. And then I told you we'll cycle back to Sammy Smith. Why am I saving him for last? His penalty is the most extreme out of all of them. Sammy Smith got a 50 points docked and a $25,000 fine for taking out Taylor Gray. What we literally just saw in just a few minutes ago. I'm surprised that it's that light. If one of my drivers did something like that, caused a huge wreck trying to go for a race win, and then I watched his post-race interview, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? What the hell? What the hell, man? Sammy Smith will be sitting out in Darlington if I was the team owner. Sammy Smith will be sitting out in Darlington. If I was the team owner, that's what would have happened. And if Sammy Smith happened to be one of the 4 drivers for Dash for Cash, I ain't gonna tell NASCAR, I'm like, hey, Sammy Smith is gonna be sitting out for Darlington. Give it to the next person. Because what Sammy Smith did was completely uncalled for. Like, as we saw, Taylor Gray was racing him clean, and then he just goes and dumps Taylor Gray. And also kind of dumped his teammate. That's what made me mad, was he also dumped his teammate. So, because he was trying to win the race, and honestly, I'm glad Hale won the race. I'm glad it wasn't freaking Sammy Smith, and then we basically saw our parking lot. But now let's talk about how we raced Darlington. So how should you race Darlington? Now again, like I said in my last video, I am no racing expert. I am not. I never driven a cup car in Darlington. I've never driven a cup car actually at all. Never driven an Xfinity car. I haven't even driven a truck on Darlington Raceway. I haven't even driven anything on any of these raceways. But from what I've been seeing in different races, and me and a little bit of a racing league, well, I should probably go ahead and erase those for the pit road entrances and exits. So you want the top all day, basically. Like every lap, you basically. Actually, let's do a different color. Let's not do black, because we have black for the outline. Use green. We'll use green for this. So when racing, so when we're just doing regular green flag racing, okay, you basically want to race on the top the whole way through every single lap. For all 293 laps, you want to try to be on the top. That is your goal. Is you kind of want that top. Now, something that you don't want to do. Here, I'll draw a color. Is at least in the corners. Sorry, this is not my greatest drawing. These are not my greatest drawings. But at least in the corners, you don't want to like smack the wall. I would tell you can ride the wall every once in a while. You can get away with it, but you don't want to smack the wall. Every car at the end of the day, if the driver races hard enough, it's going to have the Darlington stripe, the so-called Darlington stripe. Now, when pitting at this track, at most tracks, you can come onto the apron coming out of turn 4, as you're leaving turn 4. Here's the thing with Darlington. Is you want to, so imagine you're racing, okay? You're racing the green line, okay? Well, I'm going to draw a blue line on how you should pit. You want to commit. Now, there's usually a pit road commitment line about right here. Most drivers would just come out turn 4, pit, at most tracks. Here's the joke with Darlington. You want to start heading to the bottom before you hit turn 3, or as you go through turns 3 and 4. That's when you want to hit the bottom to come down pit road. The reason being is you could overshoot pit row, you could crash into the sand barrels, and you could hit the inner pit row wall. I've actually seen all 3 of those happen at well, I've only seen like one red flag at Darlington. That was because the lights went out in 2023 during the 23 running of the Southern 500. But shoot, what was I meant to say? But I have seen people trying to go on a pit row, hit the sand barrels. But I've actually seen people coming on pit row, completely missing the entrance at Darlington. Smacking the inside pit wall at Darlington. The outer pit wall. Why did I say inside pit wall? The outer pit wall at Darlington. So that's why you want to. That's why you want to go ahead and start committing for pit row in turns 3. You know what? We haven't had one in this video yet. So I say let's go ahead and do a quick time lapse of me getting the last part of this video up. So let's go ahead and get my markers organized, and let's quickly next 15, y'all will see within the next 15 seconds, we will have my picks with how I do my, with my format. Alrighty. So, yeah, let me get my chair here real quick. So, how I make my picks is I use betting odds for the race, favorites for the race. The Fox Sports website actually uses both betting odds and favorites. I use part of the results from last year. And probably next week we'll start adding in point standings as a factor. I have decided, here are the following people I have decided to go for this weekend. I feel like Kyle Larson is going to get himself a Darlington win this weekend. Denny Hamlin has been close to winning at Darlington in the next gen card, and I think this weekend it could happen. William Byron has won actually the next gen card at Darlington, and he could possibly get it done again. Tyler Reddick almost won at Darlington in this exact race actually last year, until he had a little bit of a tangle with Chris Buescher. Bubba Wallace has been pretty consistent this year, so maybe he can finally get it done in Darlington. Ty Gibbs was dark horses are, well, I might get some controversy for this one. Is I chose Chase Briscoe as my first dark horse, and then my second pick is Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs was actually runner-up in this race last year. I still feel like sometime this season Ty Gibbs is going to get that first career win. Question is, when is it going to come? And honestly, if Ty Gibbs does not win, right? If I was Joe Gibbs right now, I don't care that Ty Gibbs is my grandson, but if I was running a team, my grandson's racing for me, I would tell him, hey, if you don't win a race this year, I am putting you back to Xfinity, and I'm putting Corey Heim in the car. Now, everyone's asking me what's my thoughts about Riley Hurst driving the car. I'm going to stick with what I said when I first found out that he was going to drive the 35 car. It should have gone to Corey Heim. Alright, that does it for this episode of Let's Talk Racing with Eric Pate. Check flag is in the air. See you guys later.